Welcome to TimeBenders Talks, the ultimate destination for professional photographers and creative business people. Hosted by Peggy McCartha, a certified professional photographer with over 3.5 decades of experience and the visionary founder of the TimeBenders community. This weekly podcast brings you insightful conversations with business-savvy experts who also excel in their creative fields. Providing you with valuable tips and insights, our mission is to encourage, inspire, and educate you to empower you to find your success. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you'll find practical advice and motivation to elevate your craft and business. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
Gwendolyn, I am so excited for this show.
I was like, I'm digging that intro.
I'm kind of spoiled.
I got caught up like.
So let me just tell you, you have somebody that makes your music for you custom as well for your podcast. So you kind of know how, it feels like special,
My brother does a great job. I was just telling him this morning he is highly talented. I'm like, this is amazing. But okay, so can I just go ahead and give you your props? Because real talk, when you're out there and you're doing things as a creative, we look at other people not to judge ourselves, but to say, okay, I love what they're doing. And every time I see them, they are becoming better and raising the bar and like bringing it. And that intro, I'm thinking, I need to up my game. I need to figure some things out. But I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And, just not to return the compliment, but because it's honestly the truth. Anybody out there listening that does not know G, you need to get to know G because she will make you raise the bar in every single area of your life. I met you. How long ago was it? How long? It feels like we've known each other forever.
It was just last year.
It was just last year.
Yes.
So I was out there, trying to meet people and build relationships. And I was like connecting with people on LinkedIn. And she sent me a connection request. And I was like, oh, who's this? Mm-hmm. And so I connected. And then immediately she's like, hey, you want to jump on a call and talk? And I was like, that's my line. Hey, I'm here to actually meet people, not just like have a bunch of followers. And I was like, what is this? So I think we scheduled a 15-minute chat or something. And 3 hours later,
3 hours. She's like, I got to go. But I was like, I know. Like we got to talking.
Oh, we got to talking. And so many we instantly were like, okay, this is my people right here. Like, this is good. This is good. Mm-hmm. And literally, I watch the way you run your business, the way you do things, and I'm always in awe. I'm like, she has her shit together. Like, this girl is on top. I love it. And, go ahead. And before I get going, I want you to introduce yourself to anybody that's listening that doesn't know you yet. And tell us a little bit about who you are, where you came from, what you're doing now. And then, because I have some really specific questions to ask you today, but I want them to really get a foundation of who you are.
All right. Well, my name is Gwendolyn R. Houston Jack. I go by G because it makes it easy. I know it's 3 syllables. I love my name. But if 3 syllables is too much to get out, G is fine. I do not answer to Gwen, right? Like it's just, I was born to be a Gwendolyn. My father named me. So it's a beautiful, beautiful name. I am, when I'm not all over the screen, I am a creative. I'll start with that. I'm a small business owner, which I don't mind putting that in there. And then, I'm also a photographer. I am a certified professional photographer. So we do all the things. Now, I want to make sure I'm clear about this, though. If you ask me truly what my job is, what my purpose in life is, I'm about creating space for people to be their authentic self, their very best self. We focus on inner peace. We focus on well-being. We focus on authenticity. That's my job. I give that space. I create all of that through being a photographer, creative, and small business owner. That's how I do it. But that's my job, right? Like that's what I get out of the bed. Well, I get out of bed for wine, but that I get out of the bed. Right. So in terms of photography, family portraits, and when you do families, you tend to follow people from birth until, right? You do that. And then as a creative, let's see, we have three video podcasts, one indie TV show that is on Indie Soup Media. This is amazing. And then the other business is a career coach for entrepreneurs, because that is a career choice. And this is not a business coach. I'm not about your business, but I am about the business of you. Like, how do you really operate a business? That's another conversation, Peggy, but that is that. Now, what was the other question? Things about me?
Yeah, tell us something that will surprise me. And I feel like I know you fairly well, and you're always full of surprises. So give us something that you think will surprise me.
Something. Well, I don't know if it's surprising because I'm fairly open. Okay, so I am an introvert with extrovert tendencies, right? Like that Myers-Briggs thing told me that, and that only came about from the job I had. So as a person who does not really like, I like people, but they also exhaust me. Like they take all my energy away. I picked jobs forcing me to be around people and to speak in public. So I forced myself to do that. So I love a good party, love to entertain, come over, have some cocktails, eat, drink, dance. That's what we like to do, right? And then I'm done. So I am a loner. I used to run. I don't run anymore, but I used to run. I'm back to power walking now because it's good for the knees. You know what I'm saying? And my Chinese zodiac sign is the rabbit. Okay. So my Instagram handle, my Twitter handle, a lot of things will say Black Power Bunny because I'm a rabbit. And so I love collecting like peeps and peep inspired merchandise and most rabbit things. Now,
I did not know that.
if it's rabbit inspired, but like tacky, that is a no for Gwendolyn, right? Like we don't do novelty sweaters, no. But I will do a nice heron figurine. Oh my god. So we are particular about like what we do in terms of rabbits, and I've had a couple of bunnies in my life. My rabbits, they all ran free. They were not caged because rabbits are highly intelligent animals. They love to snuggle up and get into some things. But yeah. Okay, so there you go. Those are your fun facts, ma'am. Those are your fun.
I love that. I love that. And Tanya and Ron and your mom, we got a bunch of people in our audience listening live today.
People. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
People.
Woo-hoo. Okay, so here's something that I'm gonna ask you a question, and that is, you were in the corporate world before you went into business for yourself.
Yes.
So what do you feel are unique challenges that people that are creatives specifically that go into business for themselves, what unique challenges do you think they face that maybe they aren't prepared for, or that it's not like obvious? You come out of corporate, you're like, hey, I'm really good at taking pictures. I think I'm going to become a photographer, or I'm really good at making candles. I'm going to be a candle maker. What is it that kind of surprised you about that, or that you feel is unique?
The one thing I believe a lot of business owners miss, I hate to use the word miss, but I'm going to say miss, it is the importance of standard operating procedures and documentation. Because a lot of us think, well, we're solopreneurs, so it's just me. And I don't really have to hold me accountable for meeting certain expectations in terms of product delivery, customer satisfaction, customer experience. what an average day looks like. We just figure, well, I just get up and I get things done and stuff gets done. I sell things, right? But then we start talking about scaling our business, right? I want to get a second location. I want to bring on a virtual assistant. All of these things come up. And then you realize you have nothing documented, not even for yourself, on how your business should be run on a daily basis. Like, when do you turn on your phones? And how do you answer your phones? When you do your emails, how do you write your emails? What is the standard font? How do, like, is it now? I got Ron in the crowd here, and he knows. We were so particular because we used to work together. We were so particular about the font we used, how it was, how our signature was set up, what information was included. It was not this willy nilly. I want to do, I don't know, Lucinda handwritten, whatever, and I want it in like blue and sparkles. It was like, no. It's about the consistency and how you show up in all the things in all the areas. So let's just say that you do want to bring a virtual assistant on. Now, a lot of folks go with I'll just have somebody follow me around and then they'll just pick up on what I do. But then you don't realize just how much you actually do every day for your
Exactly.
business. You don't see it, that you do
Mhm.
have to get up and get this out and do XYZ, and by this time this happens and blah blah blah. Like, you don't check it. Or that, let's say you're an event photographer, what's your dress code?
Mhm.
I get that it starts at 3 o'clock. Are you getting there at 2:45? You getting there at
Mhm.
2? Are you doing, like, we take so much of what we do every day for granted that we just figure, well, anybody could do it. But even for yourself, you don't put it out on paper. Now, I will tell everybody, I have a SharePoint site that has my ideas and what happens when listed. Now, I
Mhm.
come from a place where SharePoint was like the bread and butter. You want to find out something, it's going to be on SharePoint. If you want to find this email template, it's on SharePoint. If you want to know how you handle returns, what's your return policy, what's your so-and-so, what's your tax exempt on, blah, 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 it's on SharePoint. I am a person of one, which is fine. But what happens if and when I decide to expand or
Mhm.
bring in an assistant? You can't spend your whole day having somebody follow you to tell them XYZ if they have 5,000 questions. So, a lot of people, in my opinion, miss that part of standing operating procedures and documentation for themselves as solopreneur, family, business, whatever. It's just the sheer documentation of what goes on every day.
And because of that, I think a lot of people take what they do for granted. Like you said, well, it's just what I do. I get up and I do these things. And you don't even realize how much you do. You don't realize how much time you spend on marketing. You don't realize how much time you spend on follow up. You don't realize, or even worse, you don't realize how you're neglecting an area
Yeah.
because you forget. We meet all these people, we go to all these networking things, and then you have all these, did you follow up, or did you just go right back into your routine and that wasn't built in and you didn't do that? And now what happened to those people that were like so excited to meet you? They're like, where are they? Well, it's not their fault. um, but
Like, if you consider how we talk about businesses, a lot of it is spent on social media and
mhm,
branding colors, and people meet the meat of what really is, in my opinion, necessary to operate a sustainable business. It's the very itty bitty things that you should put your time and attention to, not
mhm,
some of this other stuff, because these things matter. I mean, it does. Person that answers your phone and you're like, but that's not how we talk to our customers. But you never told them that. And
right,
it's not written. Like, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say, even giving ourselves a lunch. 'Cause a lot of time we just kind of work. It's like, no, 12 o'clock, I have lunch. I do blah, blah, blah. This is my focus hour where I take no phone calls. Like, we operate kind of, I don't want to say loosey goosey, but a little loosey goosey because, well, I'm a person. I'm not a big team. But no, you're still working, and you should, have some parameters in place for yourself and the future, whatever that future is.
So this is actually what you teed this up beautifully. So I'm going to tell a little story about you, G.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
So again, I have the utmost respect for G, and here's first of all, she's organized. When she says she's going to do something, I know she's going to do it. I've been watching how she runs her businesses, and I'm very much, if I tell you I'm going to do something, you know that it's going to happen, and it's not always that I feel like people show up that same way. So I want to, I love that about you. But here's something that I'm bad about myself. Like, I'm going to just I'm telling myself, this is an area that I kind of had a little wake up call that I am now prioritizing. And and we all do this to some extent at some point, but not G. Now I've only known G for a year, so maybe she had her aha moment early on, or maybe she just always knew. But G's like, you know what? I turned off my phone for this month. Like, I'm not doing social media. I'm not, she sets time aside for herself
Mhm.
outside of work.
Mhm.
And that is powerful. And here's why: because if you're not taking care of yourself, the whole put your mask on before you put someone else's mask on. And we can know all these things logically, but I love work, and a lot of creative business people love what they do. People are, what's your hobby, Peggy? Well, I don't have a hobby. I work. I love working. I love taking pictures. I love helping people. I love creating rooms. Like, all the things that I do, I enjoy doing them. Like, I literally like it. And so, to separate that, like, I'm having fun here. Why would I go do that? But you need that break. You need to separate and have that time to really not lose yourself, because it's so easy to lose ourself in all the things that we have to do. And that's why it's important that we have this thing written down, and then we know the things that are important, that are the non-negotiables, and we can set up automations to do that while we are out taking care of ourselves, so that our business doesn't just disappear. Because so many self-employed people, so many entrepreneurs, so many small business owners,
Mhm.
if they take a week off, their business dies because no one's doing any of the things, and they don't even know what they need to automate to keep it in place. And you're really good at this, G. Like, you're really good at this. I don't know if you know that, but you're really good at this. And even though sometimes you disappear and I'm like, I miss G, that's honorable, because who am I? You know what I mean? Like, I know you're coming back sometime. So, like, prioritizing and being aware of yourself, like, hey, I'm overwhelmed, things aren't working like they're supposed
Mhm.
to, I'm going to step back and take care of me, and then I'm going to come back in fresh. That is so honorable. Like, you're my hero. When I grow up, I want to be just like you.
You know what, Peggy? I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate it. There were a couple of things that happened that makes you put life into perspective. Typically, death will shock you, and death at a young age will shock you. But then you also realize at some point, you're doing all of this, and you got to ask yourself for what, right? So for me, there was the death of my cousin. There was a stint where we were, as in me, myself, and I, we were homeless. And, when you get yourself back on solid ground, you come from a place of, I know what really matters now. Right. And people talk about buying 5,000 things. I don't know why I like saying 5,000. People like buying 5,000 things and having like a million cars in their driveway and all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's just stuff. When the
Mhm.
fact of the matter is, time is truly the luxury. Time to be with your family, be with your friends, time to experience other experiences. Those are the things that really matter. As an entrepreneur, we can have it. Now, there are people who talk about, like for photographers, being fully booked. And for some people, that's having someone in your studio every single day, right? You're like, I just want mad volume. Okay, great. But when do you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor? For other people, it could be, if I just get 3 customers this month, I am good. Life is good. Bills are paid, food in the fridge, gas in the car, things are good. Everybody has a different idea of
Mhm.
what being fully booked is. Everybody's not there, though. There are, like, our society, as we were talking earlier, has us addicted to stuff. Now, if I was a really smart person, I'm fairly intelligent, but clearly I haven't picked up on it. If I was a really smart person, I would invest in one of those public storage units, because
Oh,
there
yeah.
are many of them filled with stuff that people honestly just don't need, but they're paying
Mhm.
rent for it every month. What, $200,
Mhm.
$300 a month for stuff that they don't need?
Mhm.
But our society has told us, if you want to show that you're successful, you're going to surround yourself with stuff.
Stuff.
Multiple cars, multiple shoes. And hey, trust, I think it's great. I mean, I love a good closet. I love a great heel. I really do. But I purge twice a month, beginning of the month, end of the month. This stuff has to go someplace. When I am dead and gone, somebody's going to be like, look at all of this. And I'm trying not to cuss today. Look at all this stuff in this house. It's just, I know, right? So like, I have memory boxes. I have pared them down. I have 2 now. But those are my memories. Those memories have no want or value to anybody else. Now, my pictures, they would probably keep. My Prince albums, okay. Some of my books. But some of this other stuff is just that. No offense, people, it's garbage. Hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. But we consume ourselves with working for stuff, right? You get the latest handbag. You're like, oh my God, I got this handbag. And then how long does that last? Like a season? Because now it's just another handbag that's on the shelf. Whereas you may say, I want to take this time and be able, because I've set myself up properly, to go away for 2 weeks and not be concerned.
Mhm.
Right? So everybody goes through like their own phase of what's what. If you love stuff, great, have at it. You can come, I got tons of stuff that I would like to give away. I gave away some the other day. I'm like, take this duffel bag and take this bag, take these boots. Let's see what else I got. What else do I have? Because it's just stuff. But everybody goes through a point, I don't know. Maybe everybody doesn't go through it. But we all go through something that may, you know, hit a certain nerve. For me, it was my cousins dying at an early age. And then it was falling on extremely hard times. And you start to count your everyday blessings. You're like, God dog it, I have a place to sleep today. And I have friends who are lifting me up during this hard time and are allowing me to stay in their home until I get my stuff together. Right. And there's food in my belly. Now, it may be a slice of pizza and this dollar soda, but damn it, it's food in my belly today. And I have a job that I can go to. It's not paying me what I'm truly worth. I'm not going to talk about that today, but I have a job I can go to. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so I keep my eye on what the future is going to be. But I also know that once I get out of it and I get on solid grounds, we're not going back there again. Because it
Mhm.
was a facade. It was like, for what? For what? Like, just spending time with your family and your friends. My grandbabies at this point. I'm in my grandmama season. I'm in my Gigi season. So, yes, I make time for what matters most. But that's always, now I will say this, even when I worked in my full time job, I did not, and I hate to say the way it's going to come out, I didn't ask if I could take time off to take care of my family. I'm not
Mhm.
asking for that ever. It's my family. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I know everybody has their own thing in terms of jobs, and I do believe in giving advance notice, blah, blah, blah. But I tell you what, if my loved ones, if they are on that line and they are on the deathbed, the last thing I will ask is, can I have time off to go see my parents that are dying? I'm not asking you for that ever. It's your family.
Mm-hmm.
If you are working a job that doesn't believe that you should take time off, take care of your family, you might want to check it. You're at the wrong spot. Just saying.
And a lot of us do that in our own business. We don't have bosses, but a lot of us, if you step back and look at it, we do that to ourselves as
Mhm,
business owners. We are the worst boss
mhm,
that you could imagine. We don't give ourselves breaks. We
mhm,
don't give ourselves grace. We don't give ourselves understanding. We don't give ourselves training and room to grow and learn. We expect that the second we open our doors, we're up here. And
yeah.
we don't realize that, if you want to build a business, you got to build a foundation. And you go in working for somebody else, they've already built that foundation. That's
Mhm.
why they can hire you.
Right.
That's why they have the money to hire people. And that's why you're right here by yourself, because you got to build that foundation. You've
Mhm.
got to put those policies in place. You've got to put all those processes in place. You have to decide what kind of business environment and what kind of a company culture you're going to have.
Mm,
And if it's just you still need to, how are you going to treat yourself?
right.
Because if you don't treat yourself right, if you grow and you bring people in, you're not going to treat them right either.
Yeah.
Do you
It
want to
trickles.
be that person?
Mm,
What do you really want? And you need to start with that same, how do you want people to see you? You need to start that as at the very beginning, and not do what I did for years. And that is work, 80, 90 hours a week. I mean, I would take off an hour here to go do this with my kids. I'd take off, but then I'm got evenings and weekends and all the
mm,
things.
mhm.
Like I didn't miss things, but I was never very present because, you know, back in the day, I worked 5, 6 days a week, eight
Mm,
hours a day. I'd have 6 to 8 clients every single day.
mm.
But that was a different time when photography was a
Yeah.
different than it is now. Now I shoot. I only schedule three days a week. I don't shoot any more than 3 days a week, and I usually shoot 2 days a week nowadays because I don't want to work that hard, and I have other things that I'm doing that I want to put my time and energy into as well. And but those are times that I can't get back. The times that
No.
I sat with my kids and watched movies while I edited because I thought that they wouldn't notice that I wasn't really present because I was physically there.
Mm.
They noticed. They noticed.
Chris, people notice.
Yeah, they noticed. And so, but that was me being a really terrible boss. I didn't give myself evenings off. I worked all day and I edited all evening so that I could work all day the next day. And, really figuring out what kind of life you want to live and what kind of business you want to run is really important.
Yeah, I mean, I've been known to say often that rest is a requirement. It's not a reward. Do you have to grind a little bit? Yeah, but you still have to be strategic. Like if you're not at 100%, what you put out isn't always your very best work, right? Now,
Mhm.
for a good chunk of me starting my business, it was working the full time job and then coming home and doing the photography job. So you
Mhm.
are working two jobs. These are two jobs.
Mhm.
But I thought to myself, okay, Gwendolyn, something's got to give because you still have to find time for yourself and then time for your spouse and then time for your family. So you start saying, okay, great, I'm going to work on these things on Tuesday and Thursday. And this will only happen on this day. And this will happen here. Like you got to give yourself a calendar. You don't
Yeah.
have to do anything. However, it is easier when you have things written down to say, this is my time that's just for me. That's just for, planning and looking ahead and editing or whatever you have to do, writing emails, whatever you have to do. But you have to figure out how does all this come together? Because you want to
Mhm.
enjoy your time while you're here. There's more time on this side of of the ground than on the other side. There's more time. You once it's here, it's over. So like if you're here, make the most of it, but give yourself a calendar. And a lot of us do take habits from our previous jobs our previous work lives into our business, because it may be all we know. I do know when I left my job, I was still telling myself that I was going to work from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. And I had my phone lines on. And it was my dear friend Spencer who said, why are you answering phone calls at 10 o'clock at night? I was like, because people work at night and they need to get service and and he was like, but why are you doing that? Is what I've always done. It's what I've always done. And then I thought, wait a minute, why am I doing that for the 1 or 2 calls a month that I get at that hour? Why am I doing that? Like, no sense whatsoever. No sense. So I thought, when do I really get my phone calls? Between 10 and 5. So we're working 10 to 5. And if you call at 5:02, we are not answering. The store is closed. We don't answer emails. We're not looking at any text messages. We're not touching any of it. Not until the next business day. Because the moment you give a little bit here, then people think, oh, well, they're always available. Those hours,
Yeah.
they mean
My dog agrees. My dog agrees. He's very upset about this. It has nothing to do with the mailman that just walked by. Anyway, I tried to close my mic, but I was like, it's not gonna work. Anyway, this is why we love live.
we love
But
it.
but that is true. We pull these things. I used to be of the mindset that, I work evenings and weekends because I'm a photographer and other people are working 9 to 5. So I have to be available when they're not at work. So, every holiday, every evening, every weekend, I made myself available. People would call and say, hey, can you do this? And I would move family appointments and I would move family things to say yes. It was always, if you called, it was always yes. And I would sacrifice my time to make sure I got that client in. And I remember the first time that I was like, enough. And I set up a calendar and it was like, here are the times I'm available. Book on my calendar. And you know what? More people booked with me. And I was like, what? What in the world? Because when you make yourself so available, it lowers your value.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, she's always available. I can reschedule. I can do this another time. But if it's like, oh, she's only available here, here, and here, how can I make this work? And if they'll make it work.
Yeah.
Just let them be the ones. Like, you're a business. They're used to making things work for a business that they want to work with. Like, oh, these are the hours that this place is open. Maybe the restaurant that they really like doesn't open till 5 p.m.
Yep.
They wanted to come at 4 because they have something that evening. Guess what? They can't. They have to come at 5 when the restaurant opens.
Yes. People will make it work.
Them at 4, and they make it work. And that is part of running your business like a business and not like a hobby. That is part of understanding. And when you start setting those standards in your personal life, it's going to set those standards in your business life. And it is going to elevate you because people respect that. They understand what a business is. If they can just call you, hey, can you help me right now? Now, people in my community, they call me and I'm like, I'm there for them because I'm helping them support their business. And there's like, hey, we're going to get this. There's a different level there. But you call me to take your pictures, like, well, these are the days I shoot.
Yep.
Oh, I'm busy on Thursdays. I can't come in on Thursdays. Okay, well, what day would you like to come in that I'm open?
Because that's how it's going to work. Or, I mean, I do know some owners who will do special hours, but there's a special hour rate for that. Because if you're going to bring me in on a time where I could be doing something else, you're going to pay for my time. Like, you're paying for that time because it's outside my normal. Just like that. So
I'll shoot on Saturdays, but people know that that's only for clients that are return clients. clients that, you know, already have established a relationship with me that have paid me a lot of money in the past. Clients that are coming up from San Diego, because I've had a studio in San Diego for so many years that I have clients that come up. And so they know that's not on my calendar, but they know they can call me and say, hey, you know, what Saturday can you work me in? You know, and those are special things. And that again, when that's a norm, then that makes that client feel even more special, and they're okay with that. They understand that this is an exception and that they are being catered to, and that you are, that's a customer experience.
It is.
How about this businesses? How about this restaurant that we were just talking about is always, you know, you have a party and they're like, oh, you want to come in at 4? Well, you're here all the time. We're going to make now you're like, that's your restaurant for life. Like they opened up just for you. That's your restaurant for life. But you know, there's those small exceptions, but that's not in sacrifice to your boundaries and your personal needs and you prioritizing yourself. That is a way to give a perk to someone, or
It's an accommodation.
Yeah.
It's like people.
Yeah.
I think about, like I talked about this some time ago, accommodations versus like everyday customer service. Accommodations would be, hey, I'm going to open up the restaurant earlier for you, or I'm going to squeeze you in on XYZ date and not charge you more, or I'm going to do blah blah blah. Those are accommodations. That's not customer service. That's just that's me going beyond my standard operating procedures to do something for you for XYZ reason.
But if you don't have standard operating procedures, then it's just chaos. So you have to have that in first.
You do. Because it's very simple, but even for yourself, and I know since Tanya was in the crowd, or still is, you know, she talked about like your return policy, you know, your privacy policy, like all of these things are very basic, but we sometimes tend to overlook those things until something happens. And then it becomes, oh, now I got to scramble. I got to figure out some stuff I need to find, blah, blah, blah. It's like, get your stuff in order. Get it in order so that when people ask, they can see it, find it. You don't have to try to make something up last minute. Like, because it's going to happen. I mean, it's bound to at some point, but get your stuff in order.
I always laugh with Tanya that every single policy I have in place is because, you know, something happened.
Things happen.
And not all of them happened to me. Like some of them happened to other people that I saw, and I was like, I ain't gonna go through that. Like, let's write that down right now.
Like, duly noted.
Let's write this down. I don't need to do that.
For some of us, if I get burned one time, that's one time too many.
Right.
Learning experience, great. It's not going to happen again. Now, something else will happen, but that particular situation will not happen again. Yes. You know, as you and I were talking, that, you know, when people ask for things and you move everything around and then they don't follow through. So at one time you take the customer who didn't pay your normal session fee up front the way that they're supposed to, you're like, it don't work out. And then it doesn't work out. And you find yourself saying, I just wasted all of my time on this right here.
Every time. Yeah. Every time.
So make the policies, stick to the policies.
Every time I break my own policy, I pay for it every single time.
I know. You think we would learn. Here's the deal, though. This is where, again, you make those accommodations. You make them. You're like, you know what? I don't mind because you are a previous customer, blah, blah, blah. I am going to accommodate you and do X, Y, Z. But if you burn me, in your head, you're thinking, if this goes wrong, I'm not going to do it again. Definitely not for this person, because you showed me that your word is like garbage, but okay, whatever.
Right.
But it only has to happen one time. At least for me, it's like one time and I am done. It's like, and we're done.
Yeah, that's it.
We're done now. We're not gonna go there again.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot for me. Like I feel like I'm pretty gracious in things, like, you know, I'll like give people the benefit of the doubt. But once that line is crossed, Like my line's pretty far out there, but once you cross that line, I'm like, all right, you have shown me who you are. I'm going to believe you, and I will.
Right. It's I think we all do it. I shouldn't say, well, I believe we all do it. I believe we all have this sort of like, I really want to help this person. They really like this. I'm going to go ahead against my better judgment, do this instead, yada, yada, yada. And then you're like, I don't even know why I bothered doing that. But it's okay though. I mean, they don't happen all the time, but every now and then something else crosses your path and you learn from it and
And
you keep
also,
on moving.
I don't know. I think you might feel the same way, but you tell me. The other thing that when things go bad, because because I'm compassionate, because I see somebody and I'm like, you know what, I want to help you. I understand where you're at. Like, I want to, and so I'm showing compassion, or I'm giving a little bit more than I normally would,
Mhm.
and it goes wrong. I kind of feel like, you know what? I did right. What I did was right. What you did, maybe you didn't do it right, but that's on you. Like, I
Mhm.
still feel like I don't always think that that's a lesson for me to learn. I think now, not just, but those times where you're like, I really feel like I want to help this person, and then they, act like an idiot. um it's like, you know what, that's on them. I still I You can't steal something from me that I gave. If I gave it to you, you can't steal it from me.
Mm, okay.
So
Let's see. Okay, honest answer, because I am a
mhm.
Virgo, and Virgos can
Ooh.
be really petty. Um, let me go ahead and put that out there. I see it maybe not a lesson, but a reminder.
Mhm.
Because two things, if there's anything that I really don't like is wasting my time.
Mhm.
Because time is money, right? Like time is money. Like if you do anything else, respect my time. So if
Mhm.
I'm making this special time for you, I'm making these accommodations, then do your part, right? Like do your part as the customer. Like just that's all I'm asking. Just do that one little thing. Because now my time is wasted. But I see it as a reminder why I have my policy in place. That
Mhm.
was a lesson. But I also see it as moving like a jump off point for, okay, let's go back to the drawing board and let's perhaps revisit the communication on the website. Let's revisit what's in the contract. Let's revisit pricing, like all these things. Because as you're growing your business, the person that you serve is when you started may or may not still be the same customer. Typically, in terms of any kind of growth, as we are evolving, we fine
Mhm.
tune who we really want to work with. We are no longer everybody's photographer. It's like, no, I have this particular person who enjoys X, Y, and Z. If that's not
Mhm.
what you do,
Mhm.
we can still work together, but you are more of an aspirational customer. You're not really my customer.
Mhm.
I'll help you. I'll service you, but you're not the person who's like looking and, like looking for me.
Right.
So you may raise the bar a little bit to weed out. Because everybody says, I mean, Peggy, you're a photographer, everybody's like, oh my God, I love your work and I would love to work with you. And can you send me your pricing? And they're like, well, this is the cheapest. This is this is the bare minimum investment. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll let you know. Because it changes things, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Whereas your customer is like, just send me the invoice, consider it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I find myself saying, okay, Gwendolyn, you may need to adjust some things to weed out who's really not your customer. And that's okay. Because everybody's not your customer. I always say I'm a handful. I am a lot, people. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am a lot. And I am not for everyone. So and that's not a bad thing. We're not put here for everybody. We're
I-
not. We are
if
not
we're
here for
too much
everybody.
for you, go find less, right?
Yeah. I mean, I am. When we do like when I do my photo sessions, it is high energy. I have music. I have my waters. Sometimes sparkling waters for the people. If it's here in the home studio, then we're having nibbles and cocktails for the adults. So it's like a full on party in here. Best time ever. But some people, that's too much.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I don't need all of that. Okay, well then I'm not your person, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not your person. That's fine. There are plenty of other photographers out there that could be your person who can like vibe with you. I'm about energy.
And there's plenty of other this is why I don't believe that. I don't care what profession you're in. I don't care how flooded your industry is. I don't believe in competition.
Yeah.
I think that if you focus on attracting your ideal client, there's enough. I live in Los Angeles. There's 4 million people here. 4 million.
That's a lot of
There's
people.
probably 1,000 photographers that are on my level of photography, I would say. I mean, that's a guess. I don't have I haven't gone through the people's websites and actually counted, but my assumption is there's at least 1,000 photographers that are experienced, that are, actually really good photographers in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that 1,000 photographers can't service 4 million people?
There is somebody. It is the same thing. If there is ever a phrase I'm tired with, it is a saturated market. Okay,
There's
it's
only one G,
2024.
there's only one Peggy, there's only one Gary, there's only one Tanya,
Right?
there's only one that has my personality, that has my talent, my style.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. We're talking photography because we're both certified professional photographers, but whatever your industry is, whatever your creative business
Yes.
is about, it doesn't matter if 5 people on your block are doing the same thing. They're not doing it the way you're doing it.
It's
And
all
they're not going to show up for people the way you show up for
Mhm,
people.
mhm,
And they're
mhm,
not going to connect with people the way you connect with people.
mhm.
And so if you stop trying to be everybody's thing and just focus on your people who you really want to work with, who really lights you up, who makes it exciting for you, who brings that life to you, then those people are going to be attracted to you. But if you're out here working with other people's clients,
Yeah.
they're going to suck the life out of you, dim your
Oh.
light, and your people can't see you.
Ooh. When you get
They
someone
can't
who's
see
not
you.
your customer,
It's terrible.
it is terrible. And I recall both in my own business and in the previous full-time job, I would tell people, if you are jumping through hoops for this sale, it's not your customer. It's not. Like every day is something new. And they keep moving the finish line. They keep pushing back. I need this one thing and this one thing and this one thing. And you're thinking, if I could just close this sale, it'd be $30,000. Would it be really? Because for all of the time you're putting in this person who is not your customer,
You are.
you could
Yeah.
have made 4 or 5 times that if you put that into like the right people. Just
And then you're so by the end of it. Now I don't know how we got onto pricing, but since we're here, since we're here,
you go all over. We go all over.
there are, I'm at my pricing point because those are the people I want to work with, and I
Yeah.
reevaluate that every year.
Mhm.
Because if I'm lower, I don't want to work with those people, and if I'm higher, I don't want to work with those people. Like, I found my sweet spot, and it took me understanding that there was a sweet spot. For one thing, it took me a little bit of time to find that sweet spot. And then I was like, oh, I get it. Like, I don't want to work with the people. I don't want to work with the people that don't blink at paying $3,000 for one image. I don't want to work with them. I just don't. I don't enjoy it. I've done that before, and it's not my thing. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. And the same, right? I don't want to work with people that want everything for $100. Like, that is
Ooh,
not gonna
girl.
happen. Like, you cannot get me to pick up my camera for $100. You cannot get me to pick up my camera and even like talk to you
that we have to have a place. I have a list of topics to discuss, and price and value is one of them, because they are not the same, right? Like,
Mm-mm.
price and value is definitely not the same. What you value and how much something is, your body goes one way or the other.
Yeah.
But people do want all the things. They're like, well, I only have like $150. It's like,
Yeah.
really? Okay, well, I don't know why you called me today, but
I
that's
don't even know if you
what
can go to Sears
happened.
or JC Penney's anymore for that. Like, I'm just
No,
saying.
not
I
at
don't
all.
even know if you can do that anymore.
Not at all. I mean, now I will say this: pricing is still part of your operating procedure.
It is.
Like, it is. So you do have to look at like all the things, because you're taking into account what services you offer and at what
Mhm.
price. And if you choose to do a discount, what is your discount level? Right now, I
Mhm.
I don't discount my service. The service is never discounted. I may discount the album, may discount the cards, but the service is always 100%. That's not like, we're not discounting my time. That's
You
not.
don't want to be known as the discount,
No.
name it, whatever it is. If you're a candle maker, you don't want to be the discount
Yeah.
candle maker. You don't want to be the discount photographer.
Yeah.
That's
No, you're looking
a
at like,
hard hole to dig yourself out of.
but that's part of me. Like, all of that is part of it. Like, think about, like, if you look at your entire year as a business person, and I talked about this last year, I would say it again because it's so obvious. Again, coming from a retail standpoint, it's the same day all the time, right? Like, you have your same holidays, you got your
Mhm.
same so and so, you got your same 4 quarters. At a certain point, let's say your second year, you should know some things by now. You should have an idea of your traffic. July, it is hotter than hell in Texas. It's hot.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, they were talking real feel of 115 just this past Saturday. It is hot. There's not a lot of outdoor photography right now, and
Mm-mm.
rightfully so, because you'll be sweating and you're
Mhm.
melting. I'm
Mhm.
not working in that. We're not working in extreme weather. That's heat and cold, storm, all of it. That's a no. Mm-mm. So traffic may dip, but we've planned for that. But then now we have August. We got back to school. We got people getting ready for college, getting ready for high school graduation. Like, all that stuff starts in August, September, and then you think holidays,
Mhm.
right? So if you were a person who did say holiday scented candles, you should be getting all your stuff together in July
Mhm.
and beginning of August, have all your product, and then you drop your advertising and your social media posts and your blog posts in September, because they'll be right and ready in October, and then by November you should hopefully have sold out of everything.
Right.
You don't really want it in December,
Right.
right? But this stuff happens all the time. When you look at social media, you can see that there are people still trying to figure out last minute things. And we've talked about it, but marketing wise, there's so much noise right now that if you want to reach your market, you got to talk to them like, what, 8 to 10 times now for them to see it. Now, to you, it feels like, oh my God, it's the same thing again. It is not, because the person you want to reach hasn't seen it yet. They got to see it and then see it, and then, oh, you pique their interest, and then, oh, now I want, okay, now I'm ready to buy, or at
Right.
least on your website or whatever they're going. But they,
Mhm.
like multiple times, unless of course it's your client, they're already in the environment. So then you do your email drops, your one, your two, your who last time, or maybe it's the, if you really love the, I don't know, Jingle All the Way candle that sold out last year, because you're a previous customer, you're getting first dibs, and we got a special. You're like,
Mhm.
oh my God. So now you get all your pre-orders, you get those fills, and then people who love it are there. And then everybody else gets whatever they get. But there's a way to navigate that if you just put it down on paper and figure it out, like, you don't have to, but you got to have stuff in place. So part of
Have
that
stuff
policy
in
is a
place.
plan. But let me get back on track. Let me get
So,
back.
no, I think we've stayed on track. Let's just recap. Like, we've gone all around, but bottom line, have a plan, have your policies in place, have your business strategy in place, and have yourself, your
Mm-hmm.
personal time, your actual self-care in place.
Yeah.
So those, I think, are the key things that we talked about today. How would you recap our podcast?
I would recap it. So, documentation
Documentation.
and your standard operating procedures. That's the big thing, right? Is
Yes.
documentation. Now,
Mhm.
under that, you got all these other little boxes that, we can look at. But it all goes back to however you're working, if you haven't documented, and I will say this, not everybody's, let me not say it like that. I know that with technology, it gives us this extra oomph that we can do all things for ourselves. I understand that. I get it. I love Canva. I do. It has allowed a lot of creatives on across the spectrum create art and work that years ago could have never happened without mega bucks being dropped. I know that.
Mhm.
I also know there comes a point where I need to get to a professional because the look I want is not going to happen here.
Mhm.
It's not going to happen like with Gwendolyn. I
Mhm.
can get some things done and I don't mind a little DIY, but depending on what it is, it's like I need to go here to get it
Mhm.
done for
Mhm.
this XYZ crowd. So
Yeah.
when I talk about documentation, technical writer here who has documented and written training, what have you, there is a method to it. But even without that, put something on paper. Use OneNote, use Notion. You can use a Word document. I don't care what you use, but start writing down what you do every day.
Mhm.
When I did it, I literally followed people around and asked 5,000. I love 5,000. I need a
I
new number.
know 5,000 is your
I don't
number.
know why it's always 5,000. I asked like about 100 questions.
Mhm.
It was like, and why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why?
Mhm.
And like, because that's the way so and so did it. That's not a good answer.
Mm-mm.
It's not good enough. But start documenting what you do. Because if you really are thinking, even if you don't think I want to scale, but someone else has to fill in for you, photographers, if you have a photographer take over a job for you, they are still representing you.
Mhm.
How are they showing up? How is
Mhm.
he, she, or they showing up? Are they aware? Like, are you aware? You picked them because you trust their work, but now they're representing you at XYZ job. Even they should have like a one sheet. We
Mhm.
arrive by this time. We check in with so and so. Make sure this. Please wear blah blah blah. Clothes. Yeah, like that still needs to be there.
Mhm.
Again, we take that for granted, but that's how I would sum it up. Write your day down. Put things in writing for yourself.
And you'll find the things that you don't need to be doing, and you'll find the gaps of the things that you're doing ineffectively. Like if once you see it, you're like, why am I doing that? This could be right here, and then it would be done. Like, So yes, I love that.
Mhm.
Gee, thank you for hanging out with me.
You're welcome.
This
You're
is
welcome.
always so fun, and you have been away from me for a while, so I'm
Yeah,
like just really love catching up with you. This is so fun. We will be doing this much more often.
I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it.
Well, you will be a guest on this show again, and I'm sure we'll be hanging out just in general. So thank you so much, and everyone else, I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to TimeBenders Talks. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Being a creative business person doesn't have to be lonely. Schedule a tour of the TimeBenders community today and discover how you can join this amazing group of creative professionals and be a part of a supportive and encouraging community where everyone thrives and succeeds. Click on the link in the description.